Hey, Jeff Probst here with the Facebook Live. Very fun. I've only done one of these before. This is my second one. And I have a bunch of questions from fans. And I hope you guys like last night's episode. I love this season. I know I'm biased because I work on the show, but I love Millennials versus Gen X. I love the culture clash that is happening. And I like now that they're all together, seeing this really play out. So I hope you guys are digging it. And yeah, if you're wondering, I smashed my head open this weekend. It's starting to heal. A little self-conscious, not going to lie. All right, first question. Melanie asks, how has Survivor changed me over the years? And what have I learned about myself? That is amazing that you asked that, because for at least the first 10 or 12 years, I felt like I was constantly learning about myself. The very first thing I remember learning was in Africa, in Kenya, in our third season in 2001. We all lived in these little single-person tents. Mark Burnett had the same size tent as everybody else. And at night, we would take our little cot out and we would sleep outside and just sort of look up at the stars. And that was the first time that I began to realize I'm actually not the center of the universe, as I had previously thought. And that really just started me on this journey that I'm still on, in realizing I'm just one grain of sand on this big giant beach of earth and trying to find my place in it. And the other thing, the big thing that I've been learning was really magnified this season when we did casting for the Millennials. Because despite all of the cliches that they're this and they're that and they're the other thing, one amazing thing about the Millennials is their energy. They really are the lean in type of group where yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, I'll steal some food. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Yeah, I'll go out. Surf, want to board, want to watch football, have a hot dog, sleep. We can go surfing. I'm open. Drugs, legalize them. No? Okay, I'll consider that. Whatever. And I found myself sitting there during casting saying, as a Gen Xer, don't become that guy. That guy that says music sounds better on vinyl. That guy that says, when I was a kid, homework took 2 hours. So quit your griping. And I really felt the impact. I've always been drawn to young people. I'm more drawn to younger people now than I was. And most of my friends are younger. I rarely hang out with anyone my own age. And now I know why. Because they get stuck. And I go, I don't know. This music today, it's not music. Classic rock. Now that's some damn music. Okay, I don't want to be that guy. Thanks, Melanie. Audra asks, Jeff, do you think you could outwit, outplay, and outlast if you played Survivor? That would be epic to watch. Audra, I think about this question all the time. And here's the truth. Yes, I think it would be epic to watch too, because everyone would love to see me fail. I know that. You want to see the guy who snuffs the torch finally get his torch snuffed. I would want that too. Which is one of the reasons I'll never play. Because why? What do I have to gain? But how would I do, I think, is what you're asking. And it varies for me. My Achilles heel, all my friends tell me, and I see it, is my mouth. And I don't like that about myself, but I do know I can be a catty little stick-eating B*TCH. And it's a phrase we use on location a lot. You're being a little catty little stick-eating blank. And it means get over yourself. Get over it, dude. Why are you having a bad mood? Our job is working in the ocean. We wear board shorts for our uniform, our suit. So I think my mouth would get me in trouble. You see it on the show. I tend to say what I think. If I notice somebody's acting weird, I'll go, seems weird to me. I don't know. If you looked at me that way, I'd go, I'm writing your name down. I would say that at some point out there because my ego would demand that I be heard, and I want you to know that I'm smarter than you or that I'm this or whatever. So I think that would hurt me. But I think I would last longer than a lot of fans might think, because I am able for a period of time to to just keep it down, to just be like, dude, it's a great idea. I think we should do that. You're super smart for thinking of it. But there's a point it would bubble over, and then I'd be in serious trouble. So in other words, would I make the jury? Maybe. Kate asks, what is your favorite part of the show and why? I've never been asked that question before. Pretty interesting. That is a great question. My favorite part of the show, man. Here are some of my favorite parts. I don't think I have a favorite part. Personally, I guess tribal, because it's fun for me to do those interrogations, and it's fun now that the show is so alive that it really does change. That's not us putting that on. Those people really are whispering, going, I don't know, I might vote this way, I might vote that way. I love that because I get to sit there and just watch it, and I don't have anything at stake. I can't be voted out. So it gives me the luxury of time to just let everything slow down, and I can really listen to what everyone's saying because I'm in charge of the pace. We're not going to vote until I'm ready to vote, which gives me the freedom to let you guys say on the show whatever you want for as long as you want, and that lets the show breathe and lets them play and say, I might be changing my mind. Hang on. Okay, hang on. Well, hang on. Great. We'll keep going. So from a really being alive and in the moment, that's probably the highlight. But I do have to say that the entire show, from the time we maroon them to the very end, is unscripted and unpredictable. Yes, we know we're doing a challenge on day 2, and yes, we know it's going to be a maze because we've been building it for a month. So whoever's left in the game at that point, I could tell you on day 27 what challenge you're going to do on day 1 because it's already being built right now. So that part is locked in, but what happens out there, as you've seen, episodes where people are at a challenge and they go, I'm going to change something up, or they ask a question, or can they trade a reward, or a fight breaks out, or an argument. All that stuff is really fun. And the other really fun part of the show is day 1 in the morning when we wake them up and we get them on a boat or whatever they're on, a chopper, whatever, and we bring them and we say, okay, here's the theme. This is what we're doing. Because there is this electricity if you're one of the 18 or 20 and you're one of the crew or me, there is an electricity of, wow, we get to do this again. And we know that we're starting this adventure that will last 39 full days with no stopping. 33 seasons in, we've never not shot. We've never stopped or postponed. Even if we had to pull people off the beach, the show continues. That clock is still running. So it's a really electric feeling. And it's a bit of a marathon. You just sort of suit up and say, here we go, 39 days. One of these people is going to win $1 million, and the rest are going to be voted out. Awesome. Thanks for that question. Ada asks, will you ever have a celebrity survivor? I don't think so. We've gone down this road, Ada, so many times where people, it used to be people would email me. A few friends I know that are famous would say, hey, if you ever do one, I'd do it. And then I get really excited and I call CBS and I call Mark and I go, listen, so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. All 3 said they'd do it if the other 2 would do it. So that's 3. If we have those 3, we can almost there. And we've done formats where we do it in 8 days and we'd let you have 2 hours on your cell phone and we do it as a Christmas special for charity. We've done all of these scenarios, but at the end of every attempt, this is what we get. Yeah, I'm not available those days. I'm doing a holiday special with the Rockettes. Oh, man, that's when I see my kids. The movie just ended. So the schedules never line up. And I think that's the biggest issue. Because when we shoot a regular season of Survivor, we tell the survivors we're shooting April 1st to May 15th. Those are the days. And they have to change their schedule. We don't change ours. So we have a little bit of the upper hand in terms of dominating and dictating the schedule. And the other reason is something Mark Burnett said to me a few years ago, which was really, I thought, interesting. He said, once we did Celebrity Apprentice, we could never go back. Because with our president, Donald Trump, and so we could never go back. And I don't think we'd want to risk this beautiful franchise here, because I have one of these wherever I go. I just take it with me. I don't think we'd want to risk that, so I don't think we'll ever do one. Erica asks, who do you think made the best move in Survivor of all time? It's a great question. It's always a debatable question. The one that comes up a lot is Parvati playing 2 idols at one tribal and flipping the game. That's a pretty epic move, and that's probably still my best because it was an individual move. She had kept so much of it secret. She knew exactly when to do it, and she really did take over the game. And that's a great example for people who are going to end up playing. That is how you have to play Survivor. Whether you win or lose, she didn't win that season, but whether you win or lose, you have to be willing to pull out all of your tools, idols, advantages, and be willing to risk them. You're seeing it this season with David. David's less likely to play an idol for himself, even though that seems to be the best move, because he's just trying to look globally at how to play the game. Is he right? We'll see. But either way, he's making those moves. But I got to say, there have been some amazing moves made. We've had so many good players in this game, and I don't give enough of them enough credit. You know, I tend to hit the same names: Parvati, Boston Rob, Cochran. It's not because they're the only good players. Honestly, it's just because they're at the top of my, off the top of my head. Kim, for instance, in One World, dominated her season and gets completely overlooked all the time because she made it look so easy. It almost seemed like, wasn't that great a season, you know? She just kind of came in super hot, super athletic, really charming, and devastating in the game. And we still go, oh yeah, Kim was good. She was amazing. Joan asks, hey Jeff, I was wondering what you miss the most or crave the most when you're out filming. I've been a fan since day one. Awesome since day one. Thank you. That is why we're still on the air. You're why I have a house and a wife and kids. So thank you, Joan, very much. What do I miss the most or crave the most? It used to be touch until I got married and my family and kids would come visit. And I just mean touch, just like safe affection where somebody hugs you and you know, because we do have a big family out there and we do love each other. But I'm not exaggerating when I say I get why the survivors get really emotional when they get a love letter. And some people, the cynics will go, oh my God, 30 days, wah. You try it. You try to be stranded in the middle of the world with no one you know, and the only people you're with all want you to go home. They just wish you would leave. They're all lying to you. And every morning you wake up and you got to climb this big mountain and tie a knot, and then if you don't, you'll be embarrassed, and if you fail at the puzzle, you'll be shamed. Then you have to go to tribal council and hope to God nobody's going to vote you out. Every night you go to sleep, you're wondering who's talking about you. Oh, it's a rat. It wasn't a person. I'm sorry. That's a snake crawling up my leg. And then you get a letter from somebody that you love and trust who says, I'm here, I'm thinking about you, I can't wait for you to get home, where your world is safe and complete. It's powerful. So if you remove back from that for the crew, we're sort of in a similar situation. We have each other, but our families don't visit. Now mine does. But for the most part, we're out there alone, and that is the one common thing that comes up is people go, you know, I do miss that affection that you get daily when you hug your friends and all that. Maybe that sounds ridiculous, but 17 years of doing it, it's still a common theme on location. And then the other thing that I personally miss is routine. I have my routine. For a guy who travels around the world, I like having a nice coffee in the morning. I like going to my little place and do a little writing, whatever I'm doing. I do miss that. But I love my job. I'm so exhausted because I'm talking so fast, but I love this job. I seriously love it. I can't believe I'm the one who got the job. Right place, right time. Oh my gosh, greatest thing that's ever happened. And people think I fake my enthusiasm. I don't. I love this job. Okay, Christopher asks, what is your dream location for Survivor? I think we found it. Fiji. For real. I mean, my backyard. Dream location, I wake up, I crawl out onto the deck. Survivor's ready? I'll catch you in the front yard. That's not going to happen. Fiji, it's awesome. We've been all over the place. And we've seen some really cool places. Palau, stunning underwater. It's another world, and we would dive. Mark still came to location then, and he would have a boat ready with tanks, and we'd finish a challenge, and we'd hop on a boat with Mark, and we'd drive out, in the boat a mile, dive down and do an incredible scuba dive for 40 minutes, and then get back up and go rehearse something, because we had nothing else to do. All we do is Survivor. So if you have a free hour and you're in the ocean, might as well dive. Palau's beautiful for diving. Cook Islands, amazing sunsets. You're on this little spit of land. Beautiful families coming out to offer you food and all these things. Africa, I said earlier, we're sitting out there with zebras and lions and giraffes and elephants. Mind-blowing experiences. that a kid from Kansas like me would never have. I would never have traveled to Africa on my own. No desire. I get there, my mind is blown. But in terms of the ideal survivor location, Fiji is a direct flight from LA, super close to Australia, where a lot of our crew is from. Incredible water. You can see down 30 feet. You're seeing it. You see Ken with a spear catching an octopus. What? That's crazy. Great government to work with, which is really important for us. And a big, good island that we can all live on. So if I could go there for the rest of my survivor career, I would sign that deal right now. So Fijian government, if you're listening, come on. Let's just partner on this thing. All right, Christopher, thanks. Michael says, what was your reaction upon seeing Michaela's anger after she got blindsided? Did you think there was going to be a fight? Michael, I never considered there might be a fight, but I see why you would wonder that, because you don't know with Michaela that she just does one of these and breaks Jay's nose. My reaction was, here's the thing. Remember what I said earlier about Tribal has no clock. So we're not a live show where at 11 o'clock the news is coming on. So it does afford you that option, if you're me, to just slow down. So I start to read the votes, and I see Michaela, I read it, and I can see her. I'm looking at her. I'll go, Michaela, 1 vote. Michaela, 2 votes. By the 3rd vote, Michaela starts doing this, realizing, oh my God, I've been suckered. Now I'm in the moment with her. Now she's dictating the pace. I'm just waiting till she's done because I want her to see the next vote that has her name on it as well. So I'm waiting. 4th vote. And I think you remember that in what you're referring to, there's a moment where I just wait because she is talking to Jay and looking at him. That's great theater. That's when tribal council is at its best, that you're seeing real emotion. And I love it. And I don't love it because it's a great moment for the show. I love that it's a great moment for the show. But why I really love it is I feel inside, that's why you're on the show, Michaela. That is why. You're really smart, gifted athletically, and you wear your emotions on your sleeve. You're compelling to watch. This is why we watch. There's $1 million prize. It's super complicated to get there. You have to navigate all these social waters, get people to like you even though you voted them out, get people to trust you even though they shouldn't trust you at all. And when it doesn't happen, this is what you get. And I would invite Michaela back like that. Top of my list. I love her, and that's one of the reasons why. Because you got to remember, if you start with 20, 19 out of 20, which I think is like 95%, are going to lose. Fact. 19 of the 20 will lose. So you can't get bummed if you lose on Survivor. Almost everybody loses, except the one who wins, which is why I'm constantly saying, if you get on the show, play to win. Don't play for the jury. The difference between first place, $1 million, and second place is gigantic. It's from here to Mars. You might as well stay home. You'd do better. Lewis asks, what has been the most shocking blindside moment after 33 seasons of Survivor? The most shocking blindside. Man. I would rather go with moment, and I'll just tease you this and say there are moments this season and next season that will go down as shocking. So I don't think I can pick one because Lewis, when you're watching, it's so dependent on who's in the moment. Who did it happen to? I mean, Michaela was a pretty good one, but really it was only good because of Michaela's reaction. The real devastating ones are the ones when the person truly can't even figure out what just happened. They're still walking off and they're still in shock, and those happen all the time. And Parvati playing 2 idols, there's great moments. So I'm not trying to duck your question, but we're coming up on 500 episodes of Survivor. It's almost impossible to pick one shocking moment because there have been so many. And that's why the show is so good right now, in my humble opinion, is that the players are shocking each other. It's part of the entry fee. You are coming to play human poker knowing you may be the one that gets played. And you think you won't be, but you probably will be. 95% of you will be. Bill asks, when you're not with the tribes at council or challenges, how do you spend your day? Are you watching footage to strategize and plan? Are you receiving updates or sipping cocktails and sitting by the pool? It's a really good way you phrase that. Okay, so here's what a typical day is. We don't spend most of our time at tribal or at challenges. We spend most of our time either testing or rehearsing challenges, or testing or rehearsing twists, or figuring out how to execute a twist. Meaning we have a big whiteboard, and we know that in episode 5 we're doing a twist and it's going to involve switching the tribes. But we might not know exactly how we're going to switch them yet. We have an idea. We want to use this beach and we're going to have 2 people from each tribe come and we're going to do some sort of swap. But the mechanics of what I'm going to say, when we're going to do it, how will we position it all, we have to kind of figure out based on the location. And that's what we spend a lot of time. We sit in a room, not unlike this one, only it's just in the middle of an island. And we really do. We don't have a Pete's iced coffee either, but we'll just sit there and we'll go, well, what if, when we bring them in, we try to fake them out by having a challenge set up in the background, and they're going to think it's a challenge, but it's not. And when you look at it, you'll actually go, oh, it was never a challenge, but I was deceived because I saw some flags. So we think of those little things to just try to find the little pieces of fabric to weave into that tapestry to really make this thing always as good as we can do it. So that's most of the day. And then in terms of getting updates, I get really short updates before tribal. And the truth is, what I really need to know, who do we think is going to be voted out? Who's the alternate? And is there a wild card? And sometimes there's no wild card. Lately, there's like everyone's a wild card. Typically what the producers will say is, they're telling us Bill, but it depends what Bill says when this question comes up, because nobody wants to bring it up. But when somebody brings up the stolen food, if Bill says this, then it becomes Bob. And if Bob counters with that, then it could become Jill or Aaron or, whoever. That's really what it's like. So the job at Tribal is just to continue asking enough questions so that no matter how it ends up, you have charted the story. So that's why I often say, I don't know who's telling the truth. I don't really even care if you're telling the truth. I just want to know if Jill is somebody that's in trouble and I start realizing, oh, maybe she is. I want to make sure we have Jill's story told. If David's in trouble, we tell his story. If we think idols might come to play, we talk about idols. And then when Tribal's over, we go, oh, wow, no idols were played. Jill was never in trouble, and it was Tom. We're screwed. You didn't talk to Tom. That never happens. But I think you get my point. If we weren't live, I'd go back and re-answer that. Do I ever sit by the pool and have cocktails? Rarely. There's rarely a pool and rarely a cocktail. But sometimes there's a bottle of whiskey in my cupboard. Just saying. Tiffany asks, Jeff, what did you think you'd be doing with your life before starting Survivor? Living in a van down by the river. I have no idea. I think I always wanted to be a storyteller, and that's really what I was working towards and trying to learn how to write stories and how to tell stories. And the only reason I ever got in front of the camera in the first place was to help control the story. I never wanted to be a host. I get really tweaked when people call me a host. It's definitely like the scar on my head right now. It's a little bit of a spot. And I go, no, I'm not a host. First of all, I don't host anything unless it's a party at my house. Then I'm awesome. And I just wanted to be a storyteller. And before Survivor, I'd done FX, and then Rock and Roll Jeopardy at VH1 was a show. And then I did Access Hollywood for a year and it just wasn't a good fit. And then I just waited. And for 18 months, I said no to jobs. And then I got a call about Survivor. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I really believed I was the only person for the show. I felt like I got it, just hearing the concept. And I still can't believe I got chosen to do it because it completely changed my life. Rachel asks, what's the scariest thing you've witnessed on the set during any of the seasons of Survivor? That's pretty easy. Cambodia, when we had 3 people go down at one challenge, including Caleb and Sydney, that was terrible. And Caleb was in really bad shape. And you can tell how bad Caleb was because our Dr. Joe, who is a magician. I don't know how he does what he does. I don't know how he remains so calm. I don't know how he knows everything, and literally saved Caleb's life. Sydney is right next door going, I mean, really having a horrible experience. And Joe looked at her and went, she'll be fine. That's how bad Caleb was. Normally, Sydney would be patient number one. And to her credit, Sydney never complained. She never said a thing. She was grateful. She's just a warrior out there, man. That was a horrible day. But there was definitely a moment where I was looking at Caleb and looking at Joe and looking at Caleb and looking at Joe and thinking, oh my God, this guy is not responding. Fortunately, we have an amazing medical team. Fortunately, Caleb's 100%. And hopefully we'll get him back on the show one day so he can play again and pick up where he left off. Beatrice asks, do you ever try the challenges? Yes. Super fun part of the job. It used to be in the beginning, Mark would always come out for one challenge and take any crew member on, especially when we're in the individual part of the game. And Mark would often get beat, even though he's a really good athlete, and especially back in the day, really fit, was a British Army dude. But there's guys on our crew that are 22 and one of you guys, and you can kick my ass if you want. And he would, and it was a real great leveler because it made you realize Mark's just a guy. He happens to be our boss, but he's just a guy like us. And I do the same thing. No one thinks I'm going to kick their ass, but I will get out there. And here's the messy part. I'm convinced every time I do a challenge that I will win this one. And I always have a really good reason why, because I'm pretty good with knots and I think I can balance this thing. And I'm looking at these Dream Teamers, and even though they're only 23, I'm actually almost as fit as them. So I feel pretty good, and I think it's going to be pretty cool when it's over that I beat them. And then what happens is, within the first 30 seconds of the challenge, they are yards ahead of me. And by the end of the challenge, they're done, and I'm still out there. And this is typically what happens, and then I'm humiliated and humbled, but really fun to try. Chuck asks, hey Jeff, the new steal the reward advantage is pretty cool. I love that you love it. We loved doing it. So can Adam give it away? I would think if he stole someone's reward, that would create some animosity. Sounds great up front, could lead to his demise. Great strategy from Chuck. You're right. Rewards are tricky. Rewards are really tricky, and people always say, I never want to win one. But once you win one, you want it. Because it is power, and it's see them say, I don't want it. I'll give it to 4 people and I'll stay behind. They don't do it because it's a burger and fries and they haven't eaten. Same with this. Adam has this great advantage to steal a reward, and you're right. If he steals somebody's reward, it could cost him $1 million. But what does he do if it's this great reward? Like he's got the possibility of stealing food. What if there's a loved one, family visit that he might want to steal? So I would like to think that I would give it up and just stay out of the fray. But man, it's hard to know until you're in the moment. But I'm glad you like it. We really dug doing it. And wait, there's no more here. Is that it? Let's see. Or you can read it to me.
Cool. Yeah. Well, one of the questions that a lot of people were asking was how many blue shirts do you own?
Oh, okay. Yes, the blue shirt. Common question. And a lot of wives will come up to me and say, I want to get one of those shirts for my husband. You know, do they sell them anywhere? Here's the thing on the shirts. We make them and we buy them. We make some of them and we buy some of them, meaning like we just will make them from scratch material so that they fit me, even though they don't look like they fit me. They're supposed to look like they fit me. And the reason blue ends up being the predominant color is, if you go back over the years, I've tried some greens. I tried a yellow one year, which the crew still reminds me that I showed up in a canary yellow shirt with a cowboy hat on. I think it was Cook Islands. And guys were looking at me going, jump the shark? Maybe? I don't know. So blue blends in. It works with water. It works in the jungle. This sounds so boring. That's really why. You start looking at tribal council, what colors will work. I've started wearing black a little bit lately because I got bored with blue. But yeah, how many do I have would be probably, I don't know, there's probably a rotation of like 10. It's not that many. Some of those shirts, if you really were to go back and look, I've been wearing for at least 10 years. And I bring the shorts home that I wear, and I wear them in LA during the summer. And then when it's time to go, I pack them in my suitcase and I bring them back out. And as long as they fit, I wear the same shorts. I've worn some of those shorts. I had to give up one pair of shorts after 10 years because Maria, who helps me get all the clothes together, said, you just can't wear these anymore. You just can't. They're a decade old. They just look stupid. You look stupid, and I don't want you to look stupid. So we don't have much. We don't spend a ton on wardrobe. It's a rack, and it's this many shirts, and I go, blue. And that's it. So if you want one for your husband, just go to REI or Adventure 16 or somewhere, buy one, and then go to a tailor and just say, cut it and fit it, and then dye it. And $400 later, you'll have a shirt. Is that it? Okay, getting the wrap up. Just in case you know, there's 3 CBS executives behind me, 3 women, whispering between their laptop and wondering, they're making this whole thing happen. We're in a tiny little office in Studio City, California, at the CBS Radford lot, where Mallory is the desk we're sitting at. And there's a lot of history here in this room. There have been some arguments in this room. There's been, I'm sure, some phone calls that were discreet and probably, who knows, illegal. It's hard to know what goes on. And they all just got really uncomfortable with that illegal thing, which is why no one emails anymore. Let's just be clear. We can't let anyone into our lives anymore. All right, I'm just kidding. That was super fun. I love all the questions, and I honestly love that you guys love the show because we make it for you. We are in casting right now. I was just in casting. I'm going back to casting after this. Not for next season, but for next year. So, really excited, and thanks for the loyalty. I really appreciate it.